been doing this work, a network of not only organizations but people for 7 years, fighting for zero gun violence in a city that already has zero gun violence, but only in certain parts of the city and not in other parts. Why the difference? We have been here before. We have been here before, talking about gun violence in our city. We're one of the most resourceful, rich, international cities in the world. We are. When we put our mind to something, we normally achieve it. But why is it when we come to gun violence, we don't have our A game? What is going on? Why is it that in certain parts of the city, we can live in peace and harmony, but in another part of the city, it's fear and despair? How come? Why do I have to be here again today? We have been here before. In 2020, there were 462 shootings in the city of Toronto. That's more than one per day. There were 38 gun homicides in the city last year, despite COVID. And in this year, we've already lost 8 people to gun violence. We have been here before. Our challenge is, how do we move forward? When we have the resources, we have the means, we have the skills, and we have the people to address this issue. Why have we not done it? Is it because we lack political leadership, political will, and political courage? These are not about just numbers. When somebody loses their life to gun violence, the family, the community, the friends, we're all impacted. So why is this not a crisis? And why are we not responding accordingly? There's nothing that I'm going to say right now that has not been said before. We've been here before. We've been here before. How long do we see this continuing before we see real action, real policy change? What is missing here is we do not have a coordinated, centralized plan to deal with gun violence. We have different government levels, federal, provincial, and municipal, working in isolation, handing out money, proclaiming their concern. But we're here again today about another gun violence tragic incident that is affecting us all. We've been here before. What are we going to do about it? The feds just announced $250 million over 4 years to deal with this issue. The same money that they announced maybe 6 months ago. And they're going to keep announcing it over and over. But we have not seen one red cent in the community to improve those conditions necessary to interrupt this cycle of violence. The province has announced money. The city has announced money. But the violence continues. The hurt, the pain, the agony, the grief continues in certain parts of the city. Must it spill over into another part of the city before they take this seriously? Why another funeral? Why another grieving family? Why another grieving community? We've been here before. How long do we have to continue doing this before we take it serious? We understand. We've got the COVID crisis, the feds, the province, and the city come together, and they come up with an action plan. We have a housing crisis. The feds come together with the province and the city, and they come up with an action plan. A couple of years back, we were trying to bring 25,000 Syrian refugees into the country within a 4-month period of time. Guess what? The feds, the province, and the city got together and they came up with a plan. We've had a gun violence crisis for the last 7 years. This didn't happen overnight. In the last 7 years, we've seen a 200% increase in the amount of homicides, 300% increase in the amount of shootings. We've seen a city budget that has increased 25% in that same period of time. But the investment in the communities, we're not seeing. Maybe it's not a priority. We've been here before. Unfortunately, I can't tell you anything brand new. But I'm going to repeat this message over and over again. We can get zero gun violence in the city, but we need a bold leadership. We need a bold, coordinated, strategic action plan to deal with it. This is not a policing problem. This is not a politician's problem. This is not a community problem. Because we all have a stake in this. If we cannot work together, we will be here again. Why not? Why can't we work together? Why can't the 3 levels of government come up with an action plan that they all sign off on and agree to do? How many lives do we have to lose again? So far, 8 this year to gun violence, the same as that we had last year. So what we are doing clearly is not working. Clearly is not working. And who's going to step forward and do something about it? We've been here before. I can't continue to do this if people are not listening and if people are not willing to act. The onus now must become on the community and the people. Because clearly the politicians have not seen it as a priority. Throwing money here, throwing money there, throwing money everywhere. Increasing programming. Talking about jobs. It's just a part of the solution. The amount of innocents losing their lives now is not targeted anymore. It's communities against community. Innocents. We're seeing a gun violence culture where it's cool to be part of it. It's cool to be part of it. My mentor Dudley Laws told me a long time ago, nobody is born with a gun in their hand. Nobody is born saying I want to be a gang leader, a drug dealer, a pimp. There's a socialization, there's a sequence of events that takes place before somebody pulls that trigger. But once you pull that trigger, you can't put the bullet back in the gun. So what are we doing as a society? What are we doing as a city to interrupt this cycle of violence? We've been here before. How many more times do we have to do this before our politicians stand up, bring their A game? Their Z game is no longer good for us. Talking about how concerned they are, and it's a priority when the gunshots continue, where people refer to their community as war zones. This is Toronto we're talking about. We've been here before. Time for action. Hopefully, there's somebody in the audience, there's politicians that will listen and realize that what they've been doing for the last few years is not working. Change must come. Policy must be changed. We can do better. We must do better. And we will do better.